Hello everyone, welcome to IASBYHEART. In today's PSIR optional class, we are about to study Saptanga theory by Chanakya. In our last PSIR optional video, we studied about Thomas Hobbes and the social contract theory of state. It is not a continuation of that video. This video is about Saptanga theory. This theory states what is a state and how a state should be conceptualized. What are the elements of state? That is what the keyword here. What are all the constituent elements, prakritis of the states? So first let us have an introduction about Chanakya and his work Arthasastra. This Saptanga theory is from the book treatise called Arthasastra. This Arthasastra, the thought represented in this book, it represents actually a realistic political thought. In polity we have two schools of thought. One is realism and another one is idealism. What is idealism? Idealism means the ideas which we strive to achieve, but it may not be possible at current practical situations at any time. But what is realistic political thought? It means the things which are all possible only at that moment. It is called as realistic thoughts. So it primarily, this Arthasastra primarily deals with statecraft. So Arthasastra is the work of Chanakya. So it primarily deals with statecraft. So basically you cannot say Arthasastra as a political philosophical book. Basically it is a book about administration, public administration, how a state should be governed, what are the elements of the states, what are the qualities of a king, how a king should appoint ministers, what are the duties of ministers. So these are all mainly dealt in this Arthasastra. So it is actually a statecraft book. So the most important goal of establishing a state as per Kautilya is achieving material well-being. So what is material well-being? Possessing enough wealth. So this material well-being lays the foundation for spiritual, emotional, any well-being. So Chanakya lays a great importance, great emphasis on this material well-being. That is why his book is called as Arthasastra. Artha means property. So what is Saptanga theory? Sapt means 7. So what is Anga? So Anga means limbs. So these 7 limbs constitute a state as per Chanakya, and it is called as sovereign state. So that is called as Saptanga theory, 7 limbs, Sapta Anga. So what are those 7 limbs? First and foremost important constituent of this Saptanga theory is Swami, is nothing but king, and the next one is Amatya. Durga means fort. Janapada means population or territory. Kosha is nothing but treasury. Danda is army, and Mitra means, most of you know, Mitra means friend or an ally. Friend in the sense not a personal friend of a king. Then it may be a neighboring country or non-neighboring country, but that country should be an ally of any country. So allies are important constituent in this 7 limbs. So this is what called as Saptanga theory, 7 limbs theory. So we will see one by one. The first element of this Saptanga theory is king, that is mentioned as Swami or Swamin. It will be mentioned in different names. So this king as per Chanakya should be a native of that soil. This king is the first and foremost element in the Saptanga theory. In the 7 limbs, he is an important link. So he must be a native of that soil, he must be a native of that country, he should not be an outsider, foreigner, or else people will not accept that person. And he should be from a noble family, so that to distinguish a common man from a noble man. So people always accept their king from a noble family or a noble person. He should be virtuous and well learned. This king should be a well learned person. In that time, well learned means a person who has knowledge, extensive knowledge on statecraft, Vedas, philosophies, etc. And extensive powers was given to monarch not to oppress the people but for the welfare of the people. Chanakya expects the king to treat his subjects as his own children. So that is why he gives more power in his treatise. He gives more power to the king, but that power should be used for the welfare of their subjects. So this is the first one. And the next important element in the Saptanga theory is Amatya. Amatya is nothing but, you would have studied in history, Amatya is nothing but ministers or senior ministers. So this Amatyas, what is their important function? Their important function is to assist the king in the royal functions. So the king should consult Amatyas before taking any important decisions, since these people are learned people. So king should take their advice before doing any official functions. King should also test the integrity of Amatyas using spies. Kautilya says that you cannot expect Amatya, a king, to be loyal to you at any time. So you should keep on testing the loyalty, integrity of your kings, of your ministers, or else they may conspire with the enemy kings to dethrone you. So, ambassador is the most important person. He is also clubbed under the category of Amatya. Chanakya mentions many important roles for these ambassadors. They are nothing but envoys to different countries. So there are various qualities Chanakya describes as the qualities of ambassador. He should be a man of integrity. He should be a man of his word. He should be a handsome, beautiful person. These are certain qualities which Chanakya says should be there before appointing a person as a ambassador, that is envoy. And the next one is Janapada. Janapada means people and or territory. People living within a territory, within the territory of that king. It is one of the important element of Saptanga theory. Territory and people of the state constitutes Janapada. This country, this territory should have all resources in the sense it should have forest, it should have rivers, it should have seas, it should have deserts, it should have minerals, it should have animals. So these are the resources that Chanakya expects in a country. Only then that country will be a prosperous country. Only with a prosperous country a king can be powerful, a country can be powerful. And also Chanakya says that whenever a king truly cares for his subjects, in turn the subjects will also be loyal to the king. So he says that an important trait of this Janapada is loyalty to the king. The king should earn loyalty from the people. And the next component is Durga. Durga is nothing but, what is the name Durga signifies? Durga is nothing but fort. A country should possess enough sufficient number of forts. So sufficient number of forts at various strategic locations. What are those strategic locations? Along important river banks, along the meeting points of river, along the boundaries of neighbors countries. So these are the strategic points. Sufficient number of forts should be there at various locations of the country. So Chanakya mentions about various kinds of fort like Jal Durga. Jal Durga means fort built on a water bodies, forests. So these are the various kinds of forts. So these forts serve as a garrison for soldiers, a place to stay for soldiers, and it serves as a storehouse of ammunition, and at a last resort these forts will also serve as a hiding place for a king in the event of defeat in an war. So this is one of the constituent. So the next important thing is Kosha. Kosha is nothing but royal treasury. So Chanakya says that finance is the lifeblood of any state. You need money for whatever royal activities you carry out, be it a war, be it constructing any infrastructure activities. So for that you need money, for that your coffins have to be full, the treasuries of that state has to be full, it has to be filled with money, it has to be filled with gold, it has to be filled with various valuable gems and metals. So Chanakya says that it should be filled by various means, either it can be filled by taxation or war booty or the money derived from plundering their enemy countries. So Chanakya says there is nothing wrong there in plundering your enemy countries. You should not plunder in your country, but it is allowed in their enemy country. So by any means available, the treasury has to be filled, only then a state can be run efficiently. And the next one is Danda. So what is Danda? Danda is nothing but army. So in order to be a strong state, that state should possess a strong army. So that army should be a regular army, large, disciplined and well trained army. The soldiers of that army should be hired from a traditional martial families, because they are trustworthy, they have battlefield experience. So your army persons should be from that families. They should be very well paid. They should be very well paid and well trained. So only a trained army can secure victories in a war. So the last Anga is Mitra. So what is Mitra? Mitra is nothing but a friend. So the king's friends, the king's ally is also an important component in this Saptanga, 7 limbs. So how they are helpful, we will see. So the Chanakya expects the king should maintain friendly relationships with the traditional friends, and also he should maintain friendly relationships with his forefathers' friends. He should not break that friendship among the kings, among the nations. He also expects the king to obtain new friendships from the new kings. They add power to the state in the event of war. These are the people who are going to help the king. So from a trade point of view also, this Mitra or this friends are going to help the king in numerous ways. So these are the 7 Angas or 7 limbs that constitute a sovereign state as per Chanakya. So that is all for today's class. We will meet in another political science optional class. Until then, thank you very much.